So I really do appreciate you guys being here this morning to hear me. Sometimes work permitting, I get an opportunity to go speak somewhere, and I got to fly the red-eye flight from LA, and I'll go speak in Boston or somewhere in New York, and I literally will fly through the night. They call it the red-eye because when you land, your eyes are bloodshot and you're exhausted. And I will land at like Tufts University, and I'll give a talk for 45 minutes. I get on a plane and I go back home. And sometimes my kids are like, Dad, why are you gonna fly across the country to speak to a bunch of strangers you've never met for 45 minutes? Like, why would you do that? It's exhausting. You know what I tell them? I would fly 5 times as far to speak to just one of you for 5 minutes. That's how important this is to me. That's how much I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. You know, each one of us is living a story. I want to share with you my story. I was 6 years old and I love to do what all 6-year-olds love to do. I love to draw. I used to draw on everything, guys. I used to draw on the walls with my mother's lipstick, you know, when we ran out of paper. And my mom would take all my drawings that I did, she'd put them on the fridge, you know, she'd clutter the fridge with my work. And when I ran out of wall space, I would draw on my twin sister Rena's forehead. I would use the Sharpie marker because it was indelible, you know, it would last. And I'd say to my mom, Mom, you gotta put Rena on the fridge with the rest of my artwork. My sister did not like that idea, but I knew that someday when I grew up, I was going to be an artist. That was my dream, that was my goal. I was going to be an artist. And then I'm 11 years old. I go to the movies and I see a movie called E.T. Anyone seen that movie? Yeah, I would imagine you've seen that. So I'm literally 11 years old. I'm in the theater watching E.T. And during the movie, I say to my mom, Mom, that's what I want to do someday. She's like, what, you want to leave planet Earth in a spaceship? I'm like, no, Mom, I want to be a filmmaker. See, guys, I grew up in New York. I didn't know any filmmakers. I didn't know any directors. I didn't know that you could do that. All I knew is when I looked up to that screen, it was something that I wanted to do. I just had one problem. I had no idea how to do it. So I went to the library. I got books on cameras, lenses, storyboarding. I found out the director of E.T. is a Jewish guy named Steven Spielberg. I thought, oh, if he could do it, I can do it too. I got my sister, my older brother, kids in the neighborhood together. Every weekend I make different movies, murder movies, monster movies, kidnap movies. I make fake blood with ketchup, little firecrackers for explosions. One movie I tied my sister up to a tree. It was a kidnap movie. Afterwards, we went into the house to watch the movie. I remember my mom going, I like the movie, but where's your sister? I said, she's still tied to the tree. What's wrong? So I knew I was going to be a director. And then I get to high school. And I'm in high school. I'm a sophomore in high school. Someone comes up to me and says, what are you going to do when you get out of high school? I said, well, I want to be a filmmaker. They're like, no, you don't want to do that. I'm like, no, I really do. I said, no, you don't. Because if you want to be a filmmaker, you're going to have to move out to Hollywood. And Hollywood is filled with weirdos. You don't want to be a weirdo, do you? And I looked at this person, I said, no, I don't want to end up a weirdo. And I'm telling you guys, right then and there, I gave up on my dream of wanting to be a filmmaker because one person told me I would end up a weirdo. Of course, today I actually do live in Hollywood, and my 4 kids would tell you, Daddy is a weirdo. So much for that. But at that point in my life, I was impressionable. I actually gave up on my dream. My parents said, so what do you want to do? I said, well, I guess I'll go back to being an artist, just drawing. So my parents hired an art teacher. She came to my house once a week, an amazing teacher. She would teach me drawing from life. She'd say, Saul, drawing is about seeing. She'd set up a bowl of fruit. She taught me pastel, oil painting, charcoal, drawing my hands in different positions every day. I wasn't that good at drawing hands. She said, if you draw your hand from a different position every day, you know what will happen in 6 months? You'll actually get really good at drawing hands. It's an amazing art teacher. Then I'm a junior in high school. I go to the movies, I see another movie, changes my life. I see the movie, The Little Mermaid. Anyone seen that movie? Yeah? You guys can admit it, you're still cool. Come on, Ariel, how you doing? Yeah, Little Mermaid, how you doing? I see The Little Mermaid, I'm looking at the theater, I'm saying, Mom, that's what I want to do. She's like, what, you want to fall in love with a fish? I'm like, no, Mom, I want to work in animation. See, animation combines my passion of drawing, my passion of filmmaking, put them together, animation. Plus, I find out that Disney has a studio in Orlando, Florida. I don't have to go out to LA to become a weirdo. So there I am, junior in high school, and Saul knows exactly what he wants to do. My dream was to become a Disney animator. I just had one problem. I had no idea how to do it. See, today you want to become a Disney animator, you go to a little thing called Google and you type in, how do you become a Disney animator? You'll get about 800 responses, maybe 50 are true actually. But back then, before the internet, yes, I am that old, before the internet, you had no idea how to do this stuff. So my mom, incredibly supportive mom, took me on a trip to Disney World. just walking me around Disney World, going over to everybody to find out how her son could become an animator here. It was amazing. She flew me from New York to Orlando. Walking around Disney World, she goes over to everybody. Excuse me, my son wants to be a Disney animator. Can you help him? It was very embarrassing. We're getting on the It's a Small World boat ride. You know, we're stepping on the boat. And the lady at Disney's like, how many in your party? I'm like, 2. We're stepping on the boat. My mom's like, by the way, my son wants to be a Disney animator. I'm like, Mom, please. The lady's like, man, it's a boat ride. On or off the boat, lady, you know? So we go around, it's a small world, right? We get to the end, the lady's like, look, if you want your son to work at Disney, he's got to be part of the cast. See, we're not called employees here at Disney, we're called cast members. And you got to go to the Disney casting building. It's 4 blocks away from here. She gives my mom the address. She drives me to a Disney office building. Can you imagine what a Disney office building looks like? Amazing. We walk to this building. I remember the doorknobs look like the ones from Alice in Wonderland, the ones that talk. You remember those? So they're made out of brass. I open up the doors of this Disney building. I walk in. There's an atrium. Gold statuettes of Mickey, Donald, Pluto, Goofy. Even the air in there was like, Disney air, like pixie dust, Wow. I walk up this ramp, and there's Peter Pan and Wendy painted on the ceiling. There's a giant painting of Walt Disney holding a sketchbook. I'm like, where the heck am I? How would I ever get here? Finally, they call my name for the interview. I'm sitting there. The lady says, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'd like to be a Disney animator someday. She's like, well, we actually don't hire those. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, we hire people that work in the parks, people that work the attractions, sell Cokes and merchandising, people that, work the Dumbo ride. We don't want to hire the artists here. I'm like, oh, okay. I put my head down. She goes, but hold on a second. She walks out of the room, comes in a minute later, and hands me a piece of paper. That piece of paper became the most valuable piece of paper I ever held in my hands. That piece of paper was a list of 8 schools, 8 art schools that Disney recruits from. She says, if you want to be a Disney animator, you need to go to one of these schools. Do you know how many times I meet students and I ask them, what's your dream someday? And some of them are lucky enough to know. And then I'll ask those ones that know, how are you going to get that? And most of the time I get a blank look, I don't really know. And guess what? If you don't know how to accomplish something, it's not going to happen. You go to a great restaurant, you taste an unbelievable dessert, you want to make it at home? Well, you can do it if you have the recipe. You see, this piece of paper was the recipe. This was a list of 8 schools that Disney recruits from. And in my head, guys, an equation was building. Saul plus go to one of these schools will equal dream of becoming a Disney animator. So my mom takes me on a trip around to all these different art schools. I'm going from one art school to another, and all I'm thinking is one thing: who am I going to hang out with? Do you have any idea how strange they are in art school? Pick the strangest person you know and fill a school with them, okay? I'm talking like black eyelashes, piercing, black lipstick, streaked, long hair. These are the guys I'm talking about. You have no idea. I'm talking strange. The guy from New York. Like, what did I know? I'm in art school after art school, and I'm in Columbus, Ohio, at a school called the Columbus College of Art and Design. I walk into this school, and this guy's touring me around, and I'm looking at all the artwork on the walls, and I'm telling you guys, the artwork on the walls was the most incredible artwork I'd ever seen. I'm like, wow, your artists are amazing. I go, your seniors are so good. He said, Saul, every piece of artwork that you see on the walls was done by our freshman class. I'm like, those are freshmen? They're a year and a half older than me, and they're 100 times better than me. You know how I felt? I was intimidated. Why would I want to go to a school where I would be the worst one at the school? Why would you want to step on the court and play basketball if you know you're the worst one? But you see, guys, I have a theory. I don't care if you're 2 years old. I don't care if you're 120 years old. Every single person in the entire world wants the exact same thing. Everybody wants greatness. Every one of you wants it. Nobody wakes up and says, you know what I want to be? Average. You know what I want to be? Mediocre. No, we all want greatness. So how do you get it? In the 90s, my hero was number 23, Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan. You guys heard of him? Am I dating myself? You still know he's awesome, right? Yeah? Okay. Number 23, Michael Jordan was my hero. When Michael Jordan was in the first year in the NBA, one of the critics, after one game, comes up to Michael and says, Mike, you have no defensive game. Jordan's like, what do you mean? The critic is like, look, you're a scoring machine. I get it. But your defense, it's a little lax, man. You got to work hard on defense. You know what Michael Jordan could have said to the guy? You know how much money I just made? Do you know how much money I just made in that game? Your kid's probably wearing my Air Jordan sneakers. He probably has my Michael Jordan posters up over his bed. I'm going to listen to you. But in Michael's head, he heard one thing. Something I'm doing is giving that guy the impression that I don't have a defensive game. I guess I better work harder on defense. See, that's the answer key of life. To grow, we need to know what it is we don't do well. We all know what we do well. That's easy. We also know what we don't do well. And in that place that we don't do well, that's where we got to put all our energy. And Michael Jordan worked harder on defense. And next year in the NBA, one player was named Defensive Player of the Year. Number 23, Michael Jordan. You know why? Because he took hundreds of jump shots every single day before breakfast. That's what he did. He worked that hard. And I thought to myself, you know what? If I'm not a good artist and I go to a school like this, I'll have to become better. So I chose the school. And guys, thank God they chose me. I walk into school the first day. I'm about to walk into my dorm room, and all I'm thinking is one thing. Please, God, let me be living in this room with someone normal. Like, who am I going to be stuck with for the next semester? I walk in, and the roommate had already settled his stuff in, this guy, but he wasn't there. And I looked at his stuff, and literally in his wardrobe, all clothing black. Everything black. I'm not even kidding. Every shirt, pants, all black. Over the guy's bed was a life-size sculpture of Jesus on the cross. I don't think you understand. Life-size. That means a life-size human now on the cross across from my bed. That was his high school art project. While I was drawing hands and bowls of fruit, he was making Jesus out of paper mache and putting him on a cross. I did not wear a kippah back then, just so you know, okay? I'm like, where am I? All of a sudden, the roommate walks in. This guy had a shaved head, a big blonde mop of hair over one eye. I never saw that eye. Totally hidden, you know? And he had these red leather boots. The only color he had was these red leather boots that went up to his knees. And they had like 50 holes for laces, but he wouldn't put the laces in. I'd be like, Joe, why don't you put the laces in? He goes, nah, I don't do that. I'm like, why? He goes, because laces means conformity. I don't conform, I'm an artist. I'm like, oh boy, you know? Then I walk down more, I see another guy's room. This guy's got Mickey Mouse slippers. I'm like, what kind of guy wears Mickey Mouse slippers? No offense if any of you guys, that's fine, I'm not judging. So this guy's got Mickey Mouse slippers. He's got a Mickey Mouse telephone, Mickey Mouse lunchbox, Mickey Mouse clock, every Disney movie poster on the wall. It was like Disney World in a room. I'm like, whose room is this? Guy's crazy. In the corner, he's got sketchbooks. I pick up a sketchbook, I'm looking through it, and there's drawings of Mickey Mouse. Drawings of Mickey Mouse, like playing baseball, like scary Mickey, like sad Mickey. I never drew Mickey before in my life. I was a little intimidated. Then I see another sketchbook he has, and on the cover, it says hands and feet. I'm like, ooh, no, he's not here. Let's see how good he is, because that's one of the things my teacher used to have me draw. I open up the book, I'm looking through it, and I'm like, wait a minute, these hands only have 4 fingers, and they're white gloves. Yes, it was Mickey Mouse hands, every different position, you know? I'm like, this guy is Mickey crazy. I turn to leave the guy's room, and I bump into the guy whose room it is. Uh-oh, I'm busted. I look at him, I go, hey man, I'm sorry. He looks at me and goes, how you doing? Not kidding, you cannot make this up. I'm like, I'm good, what's your name? He's like, my name's Jason, but people call me Mickey Mouse Jason. I'm like, they call you what? He goes, Mickey. I'm like, I heard you. You have a Disney nickname? He's like, what, you don't? I'm like, no, I don't. I go back to my phone, I get on the phone with my mom, like, Mom, if I'm gonna fit in art school, you better send me some Mickey Mouse slippers quick. You guys have to understand, I was going to school at a time when there was no DreamWorks, no Pixar. Anybody that wanted to work in animation, it was Disney, it was the best studio. 1 week later, I was sitting in an auditorium. 750 kids are in there, every freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. And there's a guy on the stage from the Walt Disney Company that's there to tell this school exactly what they need in order to get in. And everyone's in there, the whole school. And the guy from Disney's on stage, I'm sitting in that audience, one of 750 people. And the guy looks at us and he says, how many of you want to work at Disney? Every hand went up. He said, just so you know, out of the 750 of you, maybe 4 of you will ever work there. That's how competitive it is. You know what I thought right away? I wonder who the other 3 are going to be. Because in life, you either believe in yourself that you can accomplish something or you don't. You either believe in yourself or you don't. It's like a light switch. When I was a kid, we take that light switch before we had all these things, like dimmers and stuff, and I take that light switch and I try to put it like in the middle. You ever do that when you're a kid? Like, what do you think's going to happen? Like gray? You know, it's either on or off, you know? That's like believing in yourself. It's like a light switch. You either believe in yourself that you can accomplish something or you don't. And I'm telling you guys, at that point in my life, I believed in myself. Then the guy from Disney's on stage, he goes, and if you want to get into Disney, here's what you need. Got to get the internship. No internship, no Disney. And if you want the internship, here's what you need. A portfolio with 25 pages of figure drawing and anatomy. All drawings of humans done from life. He said, we don't want to see any drawings of cartoon characters, and especially no drawings of Mickey Mouse. I was like, oh yeah, Mickey Mouse Jason, that's right. You can see him like slouching his chair, you know, oh boy, you know. But to me, the Disney equation was building. Saul Plus, go to one of these schools, will equal Disney Animator. Now Disney's telling me, Saul Plus, you need a portfolio with 25 pages of figure drawing and anatomy, and you can be a Disney Animator. So I go to figure drawing class the next day. Here's figure drawing class. I'm sitting there. There's 30 students in a huge circle, a room this size. Right where that camera is, a model comes in. This guy gets in a pose and we have to draw. So we're about to draw. Before we draw, I sharpened the pencils. I had my old school hip hop, Run DMC, Tougher Than Leather album. Anyone ever heard Run DMC? I don't know, a couple of years, old school. So I had my music that put me in the zone, and the model comes in, the guy gets into a pose, we're about to draw. And before we draw, the professor walks in, he goes, before you draw, I want you to just look at the model. So we're staring at the model. He's like, okay, keep looking. A minute goes by. You know how long a minute is to stand there and watch somebody? 2 minutes go by. 3, 4, 5, we're staring at the model. He's like, okay, get ready to draw. I'm like, thank you. We're about to draw. He goes, actually, you know what, before you draw, I'm like, what? He says to the model, could you leave? The guy's like, sir, I'm supposed to be paid for a 4-hour session. He's like, oh yeah, we'll pay for the whole session, but we don't need you anymore today, you can go. The guy walks out. Professor says, okay, now draw. I'm like, sir? He's like, yeah, is there a problem? I'm like, yeah, the model's gone. He's like, well, what'd you do? I gave you 5 minutes. Did you look? Did you see? Did you really look at the pose the model was in? You want to go into animation? Animation needs movement. You have to be able to draw from life. You think life is going to sit still for you? You have to develop your eye where you see the gesture, a person standing, the tilt of the head, tilt of the arm, you see that whole pose, you see it, you don't even need the model anymore. I love this professor, he was awesome. First week in school, we're all going out, parties. I don't know if it's a Columbus, Ohio thing, I bet you don't have that problem here, but in Ohio, for some reason, all the college students get incredibly thirsty. It's an insane thing, because at nighttime, they can't stop drinking, insane. Very, very thirsty. So we go to this party, as you do in your first week, trying to meet people, whatever, and I'm in this party, and in the corner is a guy with a sketchbook, and he's literally drawing people drinking at the party. I go over to this guy, I'm like, excuse me, she's hitting stop on the recording, so actually I don't want that in the video. This guy is literally drawing pictures of people drinking. I'm like, what class is this for? He's like, it's not for a class. I said, so why are you drawing people drinking? He says, I draw all the time because I want to get better. This guy became my best friend. His name was Andy, and Andy was by far the greatest artist I had ever seen. You know why? Because the guy never stopped drawing. And I can tell you guys, his values, his discipline, he became my best friend. And just hanging out with a guy like that made me a better artist. Because who you choose to hang out with affects more than if you have a good time on a Sunday night. You know what it affects? It affects who you become. If you surround yourself with people that are the right people, they can elevate you. I remember walking in the halls at school and there was that puff of smoke and there's people wearing all black clothes and they're like blowing off their homework, lazy. I guarantee they never got into Disney. Andy, he had the discipline, he had the work ethic. Became my best friend. We'd go play basketball together. We weren't playing basketball, we would draw the players. We drew all the time. Sophomore year, I got my portfolio together, my best drawings. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna send it in early. Andy's like, really? It's kind of early for a sophomore. I'm like, I just want to go through the process. I'm like, all right. I sent in my portfolio and I waited. A couple months go by. I get a letter one day on Disney stationery. It's got that gold leaf Mickey imprinted in there. I open up that letter. I'm like, oh my gosh, Saul Blinkoff, thanks for sending your portfolio. I'm like, you're welcome. It says, but unfortunately you didn't make it. Now I wasn't really discouraged. I didn't expect to get in. I was just a sophomore. Matter of fact, I remember being excited that the Disney company knew that I was alive. They had my name printed on a piece of stationery. I took that letter, I put it up over my desk. People were coming in the dorm room like, wow, Blinkoff, you're so lucky. Disney knows you're alive, you know? Another whole year goes by. Andy and I draw nonstop. We go to the zoo. Remember in Ohio, it was very cold in the winter, and we go to the zoo to draw animals. How do you think animators know how to draw lions? If you're making a movie like Lion King or elephants, you don't just wake up one day, you have a white piece of paper, and you know how to draw an elephant. You gotta go to the zoo and draw for hundreds of hours and look at the anatomy of the trunks, and you have to get anatomy books, you have to put a lot into it. And I remember all these guys that wanted to work at Disney, and they're all hanging out in the Wendy's, drinking coffee, and me and Andy are out there in the cold drawing. I say to the guys, why don't you go drawing? They're like, well, it's too cold. Oh yeah, it is a little cold out there. I guess you don't want it that bad. if you want something bad enough, you take yourself out of your comfort zone and you go through the pain. Anyone ever seen the movie Whiplash? Anyone see that movie? Yeah, you haven't. It's a good movie, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. I don't want to ruin the movie for anybody, but it's a movie about a guy that wants to be the greatest drummer on planet Earth. And there's moments in this movie where he bleeds, and there's moments in this movie where he sweats. Those are the two things you need. You know what the blood means? Pain. You want something, you got to be able to invest that pain in it. The sweat, discipline. You got to be able to put that discipline into something that you really, really want. So Andy and I would do those drawings, and at this point in the school, everybody knew that there's two guys that are going to Disney. It's going to be Saul and Andy. You know why? Because we never stopped drawing. So we send our portfolios in, and we wait. 2 months go by. I'm home. It's mid-year. It's like Thanksgiving, December time. I'm home in New York. I get a call one day, and it's Andy on the phone. I'm like, hey man, what's up? He's like, Blinkoff, did you hear? I'm like, no. Did you hear? He's like, yeah. I'm like, what'd you hear? He says, I got it. I said, you got what? He's like, the Disney internship people, they just called me. He says, I got it. I got the internship. I'm like, oh my gosh. That's amazing. I mean, it's like the golden ticket, Charlie Chocolate Factory. I'm like, amazing, congratulations. He's like, but you didn't hear? I'm like, no. But they could be trying to call me right now. I gotta hang up. We didn't have call waiting back then, right? So I hang up the phone. I'm pacing in the dining room back and forth. My mom walks in at that moment. She's pacing also. She's like, what happened? I'm like, Mom, Andy just heard. She's like, oh, they're gonna call you any minute, honey. They're gonna call you. And we're pacing back and forth. And the phone's not ringing. I'm like, Mom, did you pay your phone bill? Well, I gotta pick up. There's a dial tone. I'm like, why aren't they calling? A couple of minutes go by. I can't stand it anymore. You know what I did? I picked up the phone. I called up the head of Disney myself. Who does that? Oh, I did. You know, when there's something you want in life, you got to do anything to get it. When I was 11 years old, I went to watch Michael Jordan play the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden, New York, with my brother. And before the game started, I'm just like at the side of the court, and I'm watching Michael Jordan. He's got those breakaway pants with buttons, and George is dribbling the ball, chewing his gum, you know? And I said to my brother, wow, he's right there, Jay. Oh my gosh. I said to my brother, Jay, I'm gonna go meet him. He's like, you're not gonna. I said, I'm gonna walk right in that court meeting. He's like, you're not gonna. And before he could finish that sentence, I was on the court looking up at number 23, and I said to him, hi, Mr. Jordan. And he said, yo, how you doing? And shook my hand. This one right here. Never washed. Look at that Michael Jordan flavor on it. Because when there's something you want in life, you will do anything to get it. So I called up the head of Disney. I got the guy on the phone. I said, hi, my name is Saul Blinkoff. I was like, oh, Saul. I don't know your name. I'm like, really? Yeah, I'm trying to find out about the internship. He was like, yeah, you didn't make it. I said, what? He goes, yeah, I'm sorry, you didn't get it. I said, well, what about Andy? He said, yeah, he got it. You didn't. I was like, oh, okay, thanks. I hung up the phone. It was like one of those bittersweet moments in life. Was I happy for my buddy? Of course I was happy. But bitter? I wasn't going. You know where Andy's going? To Disney World. To Disney World. You know what they call Disney World? Disney calls Disney World the happiest place on earth. Yeah. See, we all want to be happy in life, but if you want to be the happiest, the only place you can do that is in Disney World. Sunny, beautiful Orlando, Disney World. Andy is going to the happiest place on earth. You know where I'm going? Back to Ohio in the winter time. Gray skies, bitter cold. What I felt was the most depressing place on earth. And when I get to school, you know what I had waiting for me? I get to walk the halls of the school and everyone's coming up to me. Blinkoff, what are you doing back here? I thought you got in. Oh, you didn't make it. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Blinkoff, where's Andy? Oh, he got in. Oh, but you didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. I became known as the guy that was friends with the guy that got into Disney. I became known as the guy who didn't get what he really, really wanted. And you know how I felt? I felt like a loser. I was known as the guy who wanted it so bad that didn't get it. That was how people knew me. And then I came up with the most brilliant thing. If you ever have something you really, really want and you don't get it and you feel like a loser, I came up with the most incredible way to get rid of that feeling of being a loser. You know what you should do? Do what I did. You know what I did? I gave up. I gave up on the whole dream. Remember I told you when you believe in yourself, it's like a light switch? That light switch was off because you know what happened, guys? Reality set in. You know what reality is? Andy was an awesome artist and I wasn't. I'm telling you guys, I can't be any more honest with you than I'm being. When I got into that school, I was absolutely the worst artist in that school. I'm telling you the truth. Out of those 750 students, I was the guy on day one least likely to ever work at Disney. Man, I wanted it. I loved the movies and I worked hard, but you know what? Andy was just natural. He was gifted. He worked really hard too, but he just had it. I didn't have it. And I gave up on the whole thing. A week later, it's incredible how things time out. A buddy calls me up and he goes, I got free tickets to go see a movie. You want to go? I'm like, no. He's like, dude, they're free. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go. Someone offers you free in college, you go. So I go see a movie, and I'm in the theater watching this movie. And you ever see a movie that like impacts you, what you're going through in your life? Yeah? So I'm watching this movie, and at the end of this movie, tears are streaming down my face. I was crying. This movie is a true story about a guy. He's 5 feet tall. He doesn't have an ounce of athletic ability, and he wants to play football at Notre Dame. What movie is it?
Rudy.
Yeah, who's that? Raise your hand. Rudy. Yeah, all right, there you go. This is a true story, this movie. How many people have seen Rudy? How many people have seen Rudy? Oh, yeah. Good up. How many people, how many people have not seen Rudy? Raise your hand. Oh boy, okay. How many people have not seen a Hangover movie? Okay, not the same. I am noticing that all the rabbis and teachers' hands did not go up for that, okay? Just pointing that out. If you saw the movie Rudy, guys, this is a true story about a guy, he's 5 feet tall. If you were friends with Rudy, if you were best friends with this guy, and he told you at 5 feet tall that I'm going to play football at Notre Dame, you know what you would have told him? Dude, I love you, get a new dream. You know what Rudy Rudiger said? Oh yeah? We'll just see about that. And you know what he does? He tries to get in. And you know what happens? Rejected. He tries a second time. A year later, rejected. Third time? Rejected. But fourth time, if you look at the movie poster for the movie Rudy, it says, when people tell you dreams don't come true, tell them about Rudy. He gets in. And I'm watching that movie, and spoiler alert, I guess you kind of know it from the poster, right? He gets in, and I'm thinking one thing as tears are streaming down my face. If an unathletic guy could get into Notre Dame, then an untalented artist could get into Disney. And I decided right then and there I would never give up again. I called up the head of Disney the next day. I said to him, can I ask you a question? How close was I to getting in? He said, Saul, we picked 17 from over 3,800 portfolios around the world. We picked 17 interns. And how close was I? He says, you made it to number 20. 3? I missed it by 3. I was that close. You know how many times in life we could be so close to achieving something we feel like we're miles away? All we have to do is push a little bit more. Then I asked him another question. How come I didn't get in? He said, Saul, no one has ever asked me that before. I said, hey, I'm trying to make history here. I said, why didn't I get in? What was my portfolio lacking? He said, Saul, you need more perspective in your drawing. Instead of drawing the model from wherever you're standing and there's the model, why don't you get up and move around? You know, give us a view looking down at the model or looking up at the model. I was like, thank you. Answer key. I go to figure drawing class. I got this chair. I put it in the middle of the room, and I put this giant wood white thing we had where we would put still lifes on, and I stand on the chair. I stand on this white thing. My head is 20 feet up in the air, and I'm drawing the model because Disney told me I need perspective in my drawing. I remember some guys in the back of the room. They're saying, hey, look at the dork standing up on the box. Did I care what they thought? No, because the head of Disney told me what I needed to do. After drawing class that day, my professor brings me to his office. He said, Saul, what's going on with the box? And I explained to him. He says, let me ask you a question. Can you control how Disney, can you control if Disney hires who they hire? I'm like, no. He says, can you control how good any of the other artists is, the competition? I said, no, I can't control that. He says, so what is it that's in your control? So I thought about it. I said, well, I can control how good I am as an artist, right? He says, no, you can't. You think Michael Jordan could control he become the best basketball player that ever lived? No. Like I said before, he controlled it. He took 450 jump shots every day before breakfast. My professor looked at me and said, Saul, the only thing that you can control is the investment you make. How hard you work. The outcome, that's not up to you. And he said to me, write this down. I took out a piece of paper. He said, write down, nobody worked harder today than me. If you can't say that and it's true, you don't go to bed. Nobody worked harder today than me. I wrote that down. I put it up over my desk next to my letters, my 2 rejection letters from Disney. And I worked much harder, guys. I took more figure drawing class. I went to the zoo more, and I was drawing nonstop. I got my drawings together. I'm about to send them into Disney, and I find out that I'm not allowed to send them in. Beauty and the Beast just came out, was nominated for an Oscar. And they made one of those Making of Beauty and the Beast TV specials, and they showed the world how animation was made, and now Disney's getting flooded with portfolios. They're like, well, we're getting too many portfolios. We're going to send a Disney representative from the studios from Florida to come to your school, and the best in the school will show their portfolios to this guy. So the guy comes to our school, white beard, looked like a rabbi, yeah? He had one of those ties from Aladdin on. It was very intimidating. I hand him my portfolio. My life, my blood, sweat, and tears are in these pages. I hand it to him. And he starts looking through the portfolio, and he's like, Saul, my boy. That's how he talked, the coolest voice. Saul, my boy, I like your drawings. I'd like to send your portfolio to Florida for further review. Would you like that? I'm like, would I like that? Yeah, I would like that. I handed my portfolio, and as I hand it to him, I don't let go. I'm clutched on it, and so is he. And I'm in a tug of war with this 75-year-old man. He's like, Saul, my boy, what are you doing? I yanked it out of his hands. I'm like, let me ask you a question. Where are you going after this school? He's like, well, I'm going to that school, then I'm going there. I said, so when do you actually literally need this portfolio in Florida? He's like, well, not for 2 more weeks. Why? I said, because any drawing I do tomorrow has to be better than every single drawing in this book. And if I had 2 more weeks, I could do better work. He said, no problem. Here's the address, send it to me. You know what I felt at that moment, guys? Up until that point, the only person that loved my drawings was my mom. My mom, my son is so talented. My mom was, I'm like, Mom, you have to say that, you're my mom. This is the guy that runs Disney Animation looking at my work saying he likes my work. I was on cloud 9. And I'm turning to leave and I go, wait, one more thing. He's like, what is it? I said, you didn't tell me anything that I need to work on. He's like, well, I like your portfolio. I'm like, no, do you have any things I could do to make it better? See, when I got rejected from Disney, of course that was a perfect time to ask them, why did you reject me? When we fail in life, of course it's a time to ask why, but even when we succeed, what, you can't do better? You can't be just a little bit better? Always look for the answer key in life and where you can grow. He said, you know what you should do? You should put some drawings in your portfolio of effects. I'm like, well, what's that? So when you guys watch a movie like Lion King, it's raining, there's fire, there's water, there's smoke, that's a division of animators called effects animators. So you should put that in your portfolio. I'm like, thank you, answer key. I turn to walk out, go back to my dorm room, and my walls in my dorm room, you know what I had on my walls? I had all the drawings that I had done, my favorite drawings throughout the year. Throughout the couple of years I was at school. I took them all off the wall, I ripped them all down. Instead I put up drawings of Michelangelo, Leonardo. I called up Andy at Disney. I'm like, dude, send me artwork. I plastered my walls with artwork that was better than mine, so I had more vision of what I wanted to be. Then I took my entire portfolio and I actually put it under my bed. The entire portfolio, I put it under my bed and said, what if it doesn't exist? Can I actually create a new portfolio in 2 weeks? That's exactly what I did. Because you know what I wanted? Here's what I did not want to happen. I didn't want Bill to get that portfolio and go, oh, Saul, nice boy from Ohio. I remember him. Oh, I remember that drawing. I remember that drawing. Oh, look, he did those effects drawings like I said. That's not what I wanted to happen. Because that's what he was expecting to happen. What I wanted to happen was, oh, Saul, nice boy from Ohio. I never saw that drawing. I never saw that. Wait a minute, he did 250 drawings in the last 2 weeks? Every drawing new? That's what I wanted to happen. And that's what happened. You know why? Because I didn't want him to just look at my drawings. I wanted to go, wow, Blinkoff, this guy works hard. In life, always exceed expectations. You want to walk out of here with a theme, something to remember? Exceed expectations. They want you there at 9 o'clock, get there at 8:50. Watch what happens. They want 10 problems solved, do 11. Watch what happens to you. Watch how people start to see you. It's amazing. So I sent that portfolio into him and I wait. 3 months go by. You have to wait for news. Can't even sleep at night. Every night my mom's like, you're gonna get in, honey. I'm like, stop it, Mom. You don't know what you're talking about. And then one day, the phone rings and it's Andy on the phone. I'm like, hey man, what's up? He's like, Blinkoff, you're not gonna believe it. I said, what am I not gonna believe? He's like, they just built a brand new wing in the studio for the next animators that are coming in. It's beautiful. I'm like, wow. He's like, dude, you belong in there. I'm like, thanks, man. He just, you know what else they did? I'm like, what? He goes, they built a basketball court just for Disney animators. Next to our studio, you deserve to play there because I love basketball. He's like, you deserve to play there. I'm like, wow, thanks, man. He's like, there's one more thing. I'm like, what? He says, they put up a piece of paper with a list of the next interns. I'm like, yeah, and he goes, yeah, you're on the list. I'm like, what? He goes, dude, you did it. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you got in. I'm like, thank you. He's like, what are you thanking me for? You did it. I'm like, oh my gosh. I hang up the phone. I go over to my tape player. You don't know what tapes are. They play music, whatever. At the top of my lungs, it's the circle of life, and it moves us all. I pick up the phone. I call my mom. She can hear it in my voice. She's like, honey, did you do it? I'm like, no, Mom, we did it. She's like, what do you mean? Oh. She's like, what do you mean we did? I said, Mom, you took me to that school. You took me to Disney World. You took me all around. Mom, you supported me. But you know what, Mom? This winter, you can stay in New York because I'm going to the happiest place on earth. And I landed in Disney World. There's a guy at the airport with one of those signs, you know. I finally arrived in life. There's one of those airport people for me. This one has literally a drawing of Mickey Mouse pointing to my name. I'm like, how did I get here? The guy drives me to the Walt Disney Studios. It's at the Disney MGM Studios, now called Disney Hollywood Studios. That's where the animation building used to be. I walk into a room exactly this size, and there's 11 huge animation desks. Huge. This is before computer animation. This is hand-drawn, old school. And I walk around the desk, and I walk in there. I'm smelling that pixie dust air. It's amazing. I actually took pictures of that moment. I show my kids. They're like, oh my gosh. And in the corner is an animation desk with my name on it. Saul Blinkoff. You know what? When you leave here today, I want you to go on your social media, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever you do, go through your Rolodex and just call everybody you know and email everybody you've ever met. You know who I met today? You know who I met today? I met a guy who achieved his dream who was not talented. Do you know how many times I meet students and I ask them, what do you want to do? I want to do this. Is that what you really want? No, I really want to do that. Why don't you do that? Because it's too hard. They don't go for it. And some of you in this room may have a dream somewhere, and you may get a dream in the next couple of years, and you're not going to go for it. That kills me, because you're going to think in your head that's for people that wake up talented. Nobody wakes up great at anything. Nobody wakes up great at anything. That's it. You met a guy out of 750 students who never stopped working. And there were times I didn't believe in myself, but I worked hard. And when I got on that internship, the work was just beginning again, because I was surrounded with 10 other artists from around the world that were 100 times better than me. And we started working on the internship. The last day of the internship, we find out, actually towards the end, we find out on the internship, we're going to get to work on a Disney movie. We're going to get to work on the movie Pocahontas. You guys remember that movie? So I find out I'm going to draw on a Disney movie. I'm like, oh my gosh, right? This is before OMG. It was actually oh my gosh back then. It wasn't short yet. Right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to work on a Disney movie. And I actually got to animate a very dramatic scene in that movie. If you remember the movie, there's a scene where Pocahontas is talking to John Smith in the forest at night. But Copeland was the guy she's supposed to marry, the Native American guy. Well, he finds out that she's talking to another guy. He's not very happy about that. So he walks through the forest at night. It's a very dramatic scene, walking through the forest, and there's these leaves, and he peeks through these leaves, and he's watching John Smith talk to Pocahontas, and they asked me to animate the leaves. That's it. I was the leaf guy at Disney. And you know what? I was okay with that, because I was terrified. You do a drawing of a leaf on your page, that leaf is this big. On a movie screen, it's a 50-foot leaf. It better be a good leaf, yeah? I took a Xerox of those leaf drawings, I sent it home to my mom. She tells everyone, my son draws leaves for Disney. She's so proud, right? She puts that Xerox on the fridge with the rest of my artwork, and my sister, who's still hanging there, At the end of the internship, the same guy with the white beard calls me into his office. He says, Saul, we loved your work on Pocahontas. We would like to offer you a 5-year contract. Would you like that? I'm like, why do you always ask me that? Yes, I would like that. He hands me a contract, and this time I sign it, no tug of war. Hey man, it's yours. A week later, something comes in the mail, changes my life forever. Paycheck. They're paying me money to do what I love? You gotta be kidding. I went to Abercrombie & Fitch. I'm like, I'll take this, I'll take this. Is it still called Abercrombie? I don't know. They have that out here in Canada? Yeah? I'm like, I'll take this. I went and bought a sports car. I bought an apartment, like everything beautiful, everything going great. Then I start working the movie The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Remember that movie? You don't see that? I got to animate Hugo, the little gargoyle. As a matter of fact, midway through Hunchback, I get a call from my parents. They're like, honey, do you have any vacation time coming up? I'm like, yeah. They're like, why don't you come to Israel with us? He said it, Israel. You did know something Jewish was going to be in this talk, right? You didn't think this is the how do you become a Disney animator talk, did you? No? If you have those goals, hopefully you've learned something up until now, but this is where the Jewish stuff comes into the talk, right? So I'm like, Mom, Dad, I'll go to Israel with you. So I go to Israel with my parents, and I'm walking through the old city. How many people have been to the old city? I'm sure most of you guys. Who's not been there? Let me just see, no guilt. Who's not been there? All of you with your hands up? What the heck are you doing? You gotta go. Guys, do they have to go?
Yeah.
You gotta go. Get up. You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. So I'm walking to the old city of Jerusalem, and there's a bagel place. It used to be called Bonker's Bagels. A couple of the old timers remember Bonker's Bagels, right? Now it's called Holy Bagel. There's always a bagel place right there. So I'm about to walk down to the Western Wall, and I walk into this bagel place, and I'm from New York, so arrogantly I think I know how to order a bagel better than most people. And I tell the Israeli guy, here's what I want you to make me. Here's the bagel I want. As a matter of fact, sometimes I take my son out for bagels, and in LA, my son's like, his name is Asher, he's 8. He's like, Dad, I can't pick a bagel. Should I get the plain? Should I get the poppy? I'm like, son, just get everything. He's like, but Dad, you said get one bagel. I'm like, no, dude, get the everything bagel. Mind blown, you know? Oh, right? So I tell this Israeli guy, here's what I want. I want the everything bagel. And he's like, okay, what do you want from the bagel? I'm like, I want everything. He's like, I have the everything bagel. What do you? I'm like, no, I want everything you have on that bagel. He's like, everything? I'm like, everything. I want the cream cheese, I want the red onions, the lox, the capers, the whitefish, I want it all. He starts making the bagel, and I'm like, no, but not like that. It's got to be the right order. He's like, order? I'm like, yeah, there's an order here. Because you don't want the cream cheese sticking to the roof of your mouth. You got to have the tomato there. Let me draw it for you. He's like, draw it? I'm like, yeah, I'm an artist. That's what I do. So I draw the layers of the bagel. It's a true story. You cannot make this up. I draw out my wife was here. She'd be like, oh, honey, you're telling the drawing the bagel story. So I draw like the layers out for him. The Israeli guy's looking at me overwhelmed. Then he's like, you know what? I can do this. I'm like, I know you can. I know you can. He starts making the bagel, and as he's making the bagel, in walks a guy from New York. He's got a baseball hat on with a New York Knicks logo. Hi, basketball. We start talking about sports, as guys kind of do. And I asked this guy, like, what are you doing in Israel? He's like, well, I'm here in a yeshiva program. I said, yeshiva? You don't look like a yeshiva guy. Yeshiva guy has, like, the black pants, the white shirt, the strings, and the hair, like, right? You don't have that look. He's like, well, I'm here learning because I just want to find out how I fit into the Jewish people. I'm like, what do you mean fit in? What are you, a puzzle piece? I didn't get that. He said to me, I was raised a certain way. My parents decided everything about me Jewishly. My parents decided what I ate in the house and what I ate out of the house. My parents decided what I did on Friday night, what I did. Everything about my Jewish identity has been dictated by my parents. He said, now that I'm a man, I want to find out what Judaism means to me. When he said that, I was like envious. I'm like, wow. It's actually cool. I didn't grow up religious at all. I didn't know much about Judaism. I'm like, you know what, that actually would be kind of cool. But how could I do that? I had my dream job at Disney. All of a sudden, the Israeli guy told me my bagel was ready. I don't know what happened to the guy with the hat. He left. I don't know. Here's a little side note on bagels in Israel. The Israeli guy made the bagel perfectly. He has it on this whack. He's showing me the bagel. Before he hands it to me, though, he puts it on a waffle iron and goes, and everything in the bagel was now out of the bagel. And I'm holding this wax paper with a disgusting heap of a mess. And I look at this Israeli guy and I'm like, excuse me, look what happened to my bagel. The Israeli guy looks at me, he's like, so what do you want me to do? And I'm like, you don't have to do anything. You're in the army, you know? I love the flattened bagel. Who doesn't love the flattened bagel? I'll put it together in a more artistic, spontaneous way. I'll make it into art, you know? I'm like, I'll just eat the bagel and fry it down, you know? I go back to Disney. I finish working Hunchback. Then I start working the movie Mulan. Remember Mulan? Yeah, I got to animate Shang. Let's get down to business. Let me hear you. To defeat, right? I have a 12-year-old daughter, Mira. She said to me before I came, she was like, Dad, when you go to Toronto and tell your story, you're not going to sing for them, are you? I'm like, honey, would that embarrass you? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm definitely going to sing. If you're a dad and you haven't embarrassed your kid once this week, you're probably not doing a good job. So I go back, I start working Mulan. I'll tell you one quick scene I animated Mulan, one of the fun stories. You know, at Disney Studios, all animators have mirrors on their desks, so we can see facial expressions that we're putting into our characters. If you're animating Olaf and he's saying something like, you know, some people are worth melting for, you know? How do you know what the facial expression is? You go, some people, the eyebrow goes up, and you put that into your drawings or into your computer animation. You have to always act out what you're animating. Glenn Keane, one of the greatest animators that ever lived, he animated The Beast. He used to run through the studio with a cape, just to see how a cape would settle. Yeah, the ballroom dance between the Beast and Belle. Well, the Beast was animated by Glenn, and Belle was animated by Mark Henn, and these two guys would literally be ballroom dancing. Walt Disney used to bring animals into the studio, like always drawing from life. So one of my buddies was animating Mulan. It's actually the scene during Let's Get Down to Business, where she's dressed like a guy. If you don't know the movie, it's basically this girl that dresses up like a boy to go to the army. It's like Yentl in China, okay? So she's in the army, and she has that stick. She's going like this, and these guys come up behind her, and they drop a scorpion in her back, remember? And they mess her up, and she's like, whoa. So my buddy's animating that scene, but he's having a tough time with the acting. He says to me, Saul, can you come in the conference room and help me act this out? You're good at, you know, poses and stuff. So he sets up a video camera, and I'm trying to help him figure out the poses, and it's not working. Then I get an idea. I'm like, ooh, hold on a sec. I go into the kitchen area, open up the freezer, I take a big hunk of ice. I'm like, dude, get your camera ready. I take that ice and drop it in here, and I'm like, whoa. So when you watch the movie Mulan, it's not a little Asian woman, it's a tall Jew from New York with ice down his back, okay? That's how we make the movies. But after Mulan, I started working on Tarzan. Remember Tarzan? Son of man, look to the sky. I just embarrassed my daughter again. But after Tarzan, actually before Tarzan, they weren't ready for the animators to draw. They were working on the script. It takes 4 years to make a Disney movie. The first year they're writing the script. And after that, the animators start. but they were still figuring out the story, so we would come into work every day with nothing to do. It's called downtime. Downtime is you get paid to do nothing. It's awesome. If anyone ever offers you a job and they say, by the way, we're going to have downtime, take the job, okay? You know what downtime is at Disney World? You ride the roller coasters every day. It's Space Mountain, woo, Thunder Mountain, woo, Splash Mountain, right? Woo, amazing. 1 week turned into 2 weeks, turned into 2 months, turned into 3 months, 4 months, 4 months. They say you don't even have to come to the studio anymore. I'm riding the roller coasters. Disney World has 15 hotels. Each one has a different swimming pool. Me and my friends would crash a different swimming pool every day. I'm at the Disney Beach Club Hotel. They have one of those current swimming pools, those lazy rivers. Ever been to one of those? Awesome. I got a pina colada in my hand. My brother's in law school, freezing. He's like, Saul, what are you up to these days? I'm like, Jay, you don't want to know, you know? And I'm telling you guys, at that moment in my life, I had everything I ever could have wanted. What if you could make a checklist of every dream and goal that you've ever had and you could get it all like that? I'm literally floating on my back and it hit me. I got everything. I have my job. I have my dream job. I'm making great money. I have a sports car. I live in the happiest place on earth. I have this great girl I'm dating who I later married. Right? I have like my best friend. I got a basketball court just for the animators. The rest of the Disney employees aren't even allowed to use it. It's just for me. I mean, I got everything. And you know what, guys? It wasn't enough. And I realized that day in the pool, it wasn't enough. Something's missing. And all of a sudden it hit me. Oh yeah. It's that feeling I had in that bagel place years earlier in Israel. When I wanted to go find out about Judaism, what am I doing? Wasting my time floating around in a pool. I got out of the pool and I told all my friends, you know what? None of them were Jewish, by the way. I said, you know what I'm doing? I'm taking some vacation time for my vacation time, and I'm going to Israel. They're like, why? I'm like, because I want to find out how I fit into the Jewish people. They're like, why? What are you, a puzzle piece? You know? I end up in Israel for 10 days on a program called Israelite with 2 rabbis, Rabbi Benny Friedman, Rabbi David Aaron. And I walk into this room, half the size of this, the first day, overlooking the Western Wall. And the rabbi walks in, he speaks to us for 15 minutes. And what he said in those 15 minutes changed the course of the rest of my life. Here's what he said. He said, how many of you know what a mezuzah is? I'm like, yeah, the mezuzah, the thing in the doorway. I grew up with mezuzah, I know what that is. He's like, well, what's it for? I'm like, well, doesn't it like protect your house from evil spirits or something? He's like, oh, okay, we'll get back to that. He said, what's inside? I said, there's something inside? I thought it was a piece of artwork that you put on your doorway that has a shin for Shaddai, God's name. I thought I knew a lot. He's like, no, inside there's a cloth. There's a parchment. And on that parchment is written something from the Torah. It's the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. He said, you know what the Torah is? It's a letter from the creator of the world. He said, just imagine you go home today, and there's a letter, and the return address says the creator of the world. You'd be like, okay, who's playing a joke on me? And your mom's like, open it. So all of a sudden you open it up, and that letter starts floating, and it's glowing. You'd be like, I got the letter from God. Like, what would you do? You would Snapchat that thing, right? You take a selfie with it, right? God letter, right? You put it under a glass jar with a red laser security system. Here's what you wouldn't do. You wouldn't go, OMG. See, OMG's out now. You can say that, right? You wouldn't say, OMG, Mom, Dad, you know I'm putting this letter from the creator of the world? Doorway. You're like, what? Wait, what? Doorway? And the rabbi said, you know why we put a mezuzah on the doorway? He said a doorway is a place of transition. You're going from your house out into the world. Mezuzah is not a thing. You know what a mezuzah is? An opportunity. I'm going out into the world. I have a moment to ask myself, I'm going out into the world. What kind of a world do I want to create? What am I living for? I had no idea there was meaning in a mezuzah like that. Then he told us a story. He said thousands of years ago, the Jewish people had a temple. It wasn't just a temple, it was the temple. It was right there on that mountain. And the Romans came and burned it to the ground. And when the Romans came and burned it, they weren't saying to the Jews, you know what, we're going to need this space. You're going to have to go find someplace else to pray. The Romans were telling the Jews, you can't be who you are. You can't be Jews. Then he told one more story of a girl in the Holocaust, 21, 22 years old, in Auschwitz. True story. This girl looks to one of the rabbis in the camp. She says, Rabbi, I need a knife. And the rabbi looks into her eyes and he can tell that she wants to end her life. He says, don't do this. Don't let them win. And as they're speaking, 2 Nazi guards hear them. They come over, they go, Jew, what are you doing talking? You talk out of turn, they'll shoot you. They'll shoot you anyway, they're murderers. And she looks up to one of the SS and she sees in his breast pocket is the outline of a knife. And she looks at him and demands his knife. She says, give me your knife. He can't believe that she's speaking to him this way. The other one says, give her the knife. What's she going to do? We have guns. So they hand her the knife, and she holds this knife in her hand. She reaches down to her leg and pulls up a bundle of clothing. And she undoes the bundle, and inside is a brand new baby boy. It's her son. And she takes her son, and she takes that knife, and she looks up to the heavens, and she says to the creator of the world, God, you gave me this beautiful baby boy, and now I'm going to return him to you. Perfect. And she took the knife. The rabbi looks away. He can't watch. And she performed on her own son a bris milah, a circumcision. You know why? Because the kid's a Jew. And she takes her crying son, and I'm a dad, and I have a son, and I don't know how you do this. She takes her own son, who's crying from the bris milah, and puts him into the arms of the SS. And she turns to walk away. No more crying. To the back of her head, both murdered. And you hear that story, can you imagine the tears over Auschwitz? But if you go deeper into that story, there's something so profound. You know what Noah Weinberg said? He said, if we don't know what we're willing to die for, then we're not living for anything. If we don't know what we're willing to die for, then we're not living for anything. So choose what we're willing to die for and now live for it. Each one of us stands on the shoulders of the most incredible people that's ever walked the face of the earth. It is nothing short of miraculous that Jews exist today on planet Earth. And if we could go back and whisper into the ear of one Jew while that temple was burning, don't worry, because thousands of years in the future, the Romans are going to be gone. The Jewish people are still going to be here. If you guys could go back to that woman who's putting her own son, who's a Jew, that's why she gave him a bris milah, he's a Jew. He's going to die anyway in the camps because they're going to kill the babies anyway, but he's at least going to die as a Jew because that's our identity. And if you could go over to her and whisper in her ear, she's doing that right before she was murdered, don't worry, because I'm going to be learning Torah in a Jewish school. I can do a mitzvah anytime I want. They wouldn't even believe you. And the rabbi looked at us and he said, now that you know that, what will you do with it? I didn't know what to do with it. All I knew, guys, is that there was something changed in me. And for the first time in my life, I didn't want to just be Jewish. I wanted to live Jewish. I went back to Disney, started working on Tarzan. All my friends were Jewish. Friday night, I would go to the movies. Every Friday night, I was front, like in the middle, 10 rows back at the AMC, and I would see movies every Friday night. And then I stopped. I stopped going to movies Friday night. You know what I would do? I would get a book on the Parsha of the week. I thought I was the most religious person I'd ever met in my life. I'm actually reading something Jewish on Friday night. I had my Miami Boys choir music on, you know. Right, you know. Big song, yeah. So I had my old school Miami music. That was like, they totally macabre me, Miami Boys choir. If you know any Miami Boys choir, I want them to know they actually helped macabre me because that music was totally speaking to my neshama. Anyway, I was drawing. Then I get an opportunity to go to New York to work for MTV as a director. So I go to New York, to the Upper West Side, and I leave Disney because they offered me my first directing job, and I wanted to tell story. I didn't want to just be an animator anymore. I wanted to direct, just like I did when I was a little kid. So I go to New York, and I have to find a place to live. And I walk into this building called the Key West. Key West, it reminded me of Florida. There was palm trees. I'm like, oh, good. On the board there is all the list of all the open available apartments, but there's nothing available. This guy walks in and goes, puts a paper up there. He's looking for a roommate. I said to the guy, you got to take that off there. He's like, why? I said, because I'm your roommate. He's like, well, hold on a sec. Are you Shomer Shabbos? I'm like, what's that? He says, if you're asking what Shomer Shabbos is, you're probably not Shomer Shabbos. I'm like, well, what is that? He goes, do you turn lights on? I'm like, you live in the dark? He's like, do you tear toilet paper? I'm like, you don't tear toilet paper? Okay, crazy, fanatical, religious man. Good luck. I will find somewhere else to live. And I walk out on the street, true story. It was so cold. God runs the world. He like froze me out. I ran back into the apartment. Like, oh, no, I won't tear toilet paper. I won't turn. I'll live in the dark. I'll do whatever you need. I need a place to live. And you know what I did? I tried out being Shomer Shabbos. And you know what happened? I fell in love with it. How could you not? Every Friday night, everyone's potlucking, bringing food, l'chaim, singing. It was awesome. Then I went to my first religious wedding. That was an amazing thing. I never see anything like it. I always thought we should get Vince Vaughn and do like Wedding Crashers, like From Style. That'd be cool. Right? I got my first religious wedding, and then like 3 years later, I had my own religious wedding. I want to give you a moment from my wedding that was by far the most impactful moment for me. I am in the tish. Tish is the Yiddish word for table. I'm there with all my buddies. My wife-to-be Marion is sitting at the Videckin in another room. I haven't seen her for a week leading up to the wedding. Judaism says, you know what, it's a good minhag, don't see each other for a week leading up to the wedding. You want to build anticipation, you want to get into an argument, you want to just, right? So I'm at the tish, and all of a sudden someone leans in and goes, showtime, ba 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 ba, and they dance me out, whoa, ba 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 ba, and they're dancing me over, and there she's sitting there with her mom and her sister, my sister, all her friends. As they're dancing me over, I just want to see her face. See, I will never forget certain expressions on my wife's face. I will never forget the expression when I asked her the question, will you marry me? Think of all the questions I asked her before that. Hey, honey, where do you want to go for dinner tonight? Hey, honey, what movie should we see? You think I remember her expression there? No. But when I got down on my knee, I said to her, will you marry me? You think I'll ever forget the look on her face? You think I'll ever forget the expression on her face when she went from becoming a pregnant woman to a mother? The look on her face when she became a mother, to each of our kids, by the way. The kids that are watching this, each one of you kids, she had that look, just so you know. You think I'll ever forget the expressions that came out of her mouth 1 minute before each kid was born? She'd probably rather I forget some of those expressions that she said. But as they're dancing me over, I want to see her face. And sure enough, the C's part, right? The guys are all going right and left, and there she is. Sitting there, her eyes gazing at me, glowing. I felt like we were the only two in the room. And Judaism says you dance the groom over to the bride. You know what the Jewish custom is here? This is how amazing this is. You're right next to the woman you're going to spend the rest of your life with. You look into her eyes, she's so beautiful. You take her veil and you cover up her face. Honey, you are so beautiful. I just can't look. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. By the way, if you want to understand anything in Judaism, first start with what doesn't make sense. And if you can't find something that doesn't make sense, you are not Jewish, okay? There's a lot that looks like it doesn't make sense. You know, we live in LA, and a couple weeks ago, I always imagine our non-Jewish neighbors getting on the phone. Marge, what is it, Tina? Our Jewish neighbors, they're doing that thing again. What are they doing? They're building their homeless shelter. The one with the grass roof? Yeah. Oh, Marge, what is it? The children? They're doing artwork for their homeless shelter. And tonight, they're all dressed up in their finest clothes, and they're dancing and singing. What, are the Jews happy they're homeless? What's with the Jews? And you know what? She's right. It's nuts. Why would we leave our homes for a week and sit in a sukkah? It doesn't make sense. Because you know what the sukkah represents? The clouds of glory. The Jewish people in the desert, during the day, it wasn't scorching hot. They had an air-conditioned breeze around them. The creator of the world sustaining them. It was the clouds of glory. At night, when it was cold, heated air around them. The clouds of glory. If we could sit in a sukkah for 1 minute in our lives, 1 minute, and be real with one idea. I don't need my bank account to make me feel secure. I don't need my parents to make me feel secure. My school, my house. You know what I got? The clouds of glory sustaining me. That's the depth of what's going on when it looks like it doesn't make sense. Go back to my wedding. You know why? I look into her face and then I take the veil and cover it? Because Judaism says you look into the face of who you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and you realize you're committing to not just what they look like, but to the hiddenness of them, who they are. And you have no idea. It's incredible how people change through life. I'm committing to the whole thing. Can I tell you when my wife and I dated? We went to dinner here, we went out to here, we had friends here. I never saw what kind of mother she would be. How did I know what she was going to be like with 4 kids? I've had jobs that go up and I've had jobs that go down. I've had struggles all life like everybody else. And when you commit to someone, Jesus is like, you know what, you're committing to what you see now and the hiddenness of a person. Beautiful. My wife and I get married, moved out to LA, to Beverly Hills. This time I returned to Disney as a director, and I'm directing the movie Winnie the Pooh Springtime with Rue. It's my first week on the movie. Living in Beverly Hills is amazing. I'm out there, and they come in with this big drawing of the 100-acre wood where Winnie the Pooh lives. So I'm looking at that drawing, and as a director, I have to give my initials to approve it so it can go to the background department to be painted. So I look at it, and it's got Winnie the Pooh's house, the tree, you know, the 100-acre wood. I'm like, everything's good. I autograph, like, the little signature there. Everyone leaves the room. I'm in the room for a minute. I'm like, don't Disney artists always, like, hide something in the Disney movies? I'm going to hide something. I sharpen my pencil. No one's around. I go over to Winnie the Pooh's house, and next to his doorway, I drew a mezuzah. I put it in the movie. Now he's not Winnie the Pooh. He's Winnie the Jew. It's in the movie. The next movie I directed, Kronk's New Groove, sequel to Emperor's New Groove, you know, Kronk. Right? I'm directing that movie. I'm reading the script. It says Kronk gets married. I'm like, that's great. It's getting a chuppah. I get my wedding album with the calla lily flowers that my wife likes. I give it to the art director. When you watch the movie, he steps on the glass. Mazel tov. It's in the movie. Today I live in LA. And people say to me all the time, how can you balance being a director in LA with living as a Jew. I'm like, how could you not? I live in a town where people get so caught up with that little gold statue. You know what I do? Tuesday night, I'm home at the table, directing a project. I directed the show Doc McStuffins. Anyone know that show? In the ages of 3 and 8 on planet Earth, you know that show, or you have a sibling or a babysitter, right? Babysitter in the house, yeah. Doc McStuffins, I'm directing that show. And if you're, on Tuesday night, I come home, I got my iPhone, I got an email, something takes me away from the table. But Friday night, my kids know, Daddy's not just home, Daddy's home. iPad, off. iPhone, off. Wow, can you imagine that? It's incredible. It's the greatest thing, shutting it all off. I leave. I'm home for Shabbos. I'll give you one quick story, then I know we gotta wrap up. I'm gonna tell you 2 quick things. My daughter, Meira, when she was like 3, 4, we noticed that she used to stand in front of the mirror doing a lot of voices. So my wife's like, oh, we should get her to do some voiceover, or maybe like, you know, some shows and stuff. So we got her an agent, and she went in and she did lines and stuff. And how do you know a kid can act? So when they can't read, the director does a line, the kid has to repeat it. So if I go, but Dad, when can we go? She'll go, but Dad, when can we go? And if she can do, it's like literally music. They have to be able to hit the notes and have a great voice for what the director's looking for. So we got her into this auditioning, whatever, and she's actually auditioned for the role of Bonnie in the movie Toy Story 3. I think she was like 4 at the time. And they loved her voice, and hundreds of kids. So she goes into this audition, and no, they booked her. She was Bonnie. She was going to be Bonnie. And she goes in, I bring her to the studio lot for Pixar, and they don't even know I'm a director at Disney, nothing. I'm just some dad, which is fine, they don't need to know. I bring her in there, she's sitting there, she's got the headphones on, the director comes in. He's like, I want you to say this line, something about a witch. And she goes, no. I'm like, hold on, sir. Honey, come here. You know when we're at Target and they have that one aisle that's all pink and purple? Do you guys have Target out here? No? You know what I'm talking about? Canadian Tire, right? Okay? You must have some aisle there that's all pink and purple, designed for little girls to go, you know what I mean? The princess stuff. I said to her, honey, I will buy you whatever you want. Just go say the lines, whatever lines, because you know how expensive yeshiva is, and you're going to make a lot of money if you do Toy Story 3. Please say the line. Okay, Dad. She goes in and goes, will you say this line? She's like, no. And that was it for her acting career when she was 3 and 4. But 3 years later, she actually booked a show, Phineas and Ferb. You know that show? Oh, yeah. So she got to do the voice for one of the Fireside Chat girls. So we got into this voiceover thing. So when my son Asher is now 8, when he was 6, actually 5.5, 6, we noticed he also had a good voice. So we got him an agent, and you record stuff, auditions on your iPhone, and you send it in. So he had an audition for some movie, and they picked him like as a callback. Like 5 kids later, out of hundreds. So the 5 kids would go to the Sony lot. I bring him on there, and he's about to walk into the audition. Now listen, it's one thing when a kid can do a voice for his mom and daddy in the living room, but for him to go into a room without his parents, put on the headphones, talk to a stranger, be able to deliver those lines, you don't know, right? So he's about to walk in, he's like, Dad, should I take my keep off? I'm like, son, you're a Jew, keep your keep on. I'm like, what about my tzitzit? Should I tuck him in? I'm like, no, make him longer. Come on, man, you're a yid. You're schmuck to be a yid. Get in there, right? So he walks in, and I'm my ears to the door, you know, I'm listening, and he's like hitting it out of the park. It was amazing. So we find out a couple weeks later that he got cast, and he was the main character in the movie Hotel Transylvania 2. If you know that movie, the kid with the red hair, that's my son Usher. And I'll tell you, this is so cool. When you went to Sony Studios, on the wall, there's pictures of Selena Gomez, Andy Samberg, Adam Sandler, and Saul Blinkoff on the wall. That way he's doing Hotel Transylvania 3. Yeah, you know, one big story. Listen to this. When he was doing Hotel Transylvania 2, this is a true story. One Friday night, my wife and I are hosting. We host a lot of people for Shabbos. By the way, if you ever want to come to us for Shabbos, you're all invited. Maybe not the same night, but maybe we'll kind of make it work. But I mean it. Someday, some year, everyone makes their ways to LA. If you're going to be there next week or in 4 years, you're like, oh, you came to my school and spoke. Can I come for Shabbos? Yes, you and your families are always welcome. Coming? I mean it. You coming, guys? You guys gonna come? Yeah. So we're hosting a Shabbos meal, and he has to be on the Sony lot at 4 o'clock. It's Erev Shabbos. I got to pick him up from school and basically get him to the Sony lot to record these lines. And we tried to have it on a different day. We're like, I'm like, honey, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a little rush hour. You know, Sony's so close to us, but still. So I drive him onto the lot, and I pick him up from school. He's asleep in the back seat. His kippah's over his head. He's like drooling. And I pull him to the Sony studio. This is major Sony studio, like sound stages, TV shows, like Shark Tank is filmed there, like tons of shows, right? Whatever. I pull into the lot, and this security guy I'm talking to the guy, and I want to convince him not to have me park here, because if I park here, I have to walk him all the way to the other side of the lot to get him to do those lines that they need him. They only need him for like 20 minutes, and I have to walk him all the way back. He's tired. It's like not going to happen. So I said to the guy, I'm like, listen, I got the main guy of Hotel Transylvania 2 in here. You got to let me drive over there. He's like, well, who do you have? I'm like, I got Usher. He's like, whoa, okay, no problem. I'm like, thank you. Wow, so I'm about to drive in. I see him say to the other guy, you know who he's got? He's got Usher. You know, the R&B singer, right, rapper? I did not correct him. He didn't know I had a little Yeshiva boy with a key felt people on his name drooling in the back. I just walked right in, recorded, brought it home. Here's the last thing I want to share with you guys, and we got to wrap up, okay? Look, I shared with you part of my story. And the hopes is that this will inspire you in many ways in your life. One thing I hope you walk out of here with is to really, really think about what it is that you want to do. And to also think about why. I got to tell you guys, it's not going to be the end of my life. I'm going to go over to Hashem and I'm going to say, Hashem, aren't you proud of me? I got my name in some Disney movies. I don't think he's going to care. I really don't. I don't think he's going to go, you know what, he's probably going to say, you know, we don't get Disney movies up here. He's probably going to ask me, oh, you worked at Disney? That's nice. Were you a mensch when you were there? Were you a Kiddush Hashem when you were there? Did you take responsibility when no one else did? Did you take the power of being a filmmaker and the responsibility of that and make stories that have values that can change the world? So at the end of the day, having a little gold statue, who cares? I love my job. I love being part of this. Right now I'm directing a show for Netflix that comes out in January. It's based on a kid's book called Llama Llama Red Pajama. Anyone know those books? One person. You know it? So, right, you know it? So I just directed the first season of that. It stars Jennifer Gardner. You know who she is, right? And that's coming out this January. But I'm telling you guys, I'm very particular about the projects that I accept and that I take. There's many things I will turn down if I think it's crass or it doesn't have the values that are in line with the Torah values that I believe I try to live by. So, you know, the balance of Hollywood and Judaism, my secret sauce, what makes it work for me, is the foundation of Torah. That's it. Torah is the foundation which I live my life, and Torah is actually known as Torah Chaim. Torah Chaim, tools for living. The word Torah itself means instructions. I want to be the best dad I can possibly be. I want to be the best husband I can possibly be. I'm going to figure it out myself? No, I got the instruction manual. The Jewish people are known as an Am Segula, a treasured people. You know why? Because you know what treasure we have? Torah. We got the instruction manual for living. We have our marching orders. We have a mission. I'm proud to be part of that mission. I'm so excited to be at a school like you guys. I'm so excited to have time with you guys. Thank you so, so much. I wish you an amazing Shabbat. Any question at all? Yeah, right now you have it all of you guys right now have this little thing going on in your head right now. And you're thinking, should I ask that? Is it a stupid question? Yes, ask the stupid question. What happened to Andy? Great question. So Andy's at Disney now. We're still very close. And he just art directed a movie called Moana. Have you heard of that? Everything color, everything in that movie, Andy was responsible for visual. All the colors of the water, the characters, everything Andy oversees. He also art directed the Mickey Mouse short in the front of Frozen. You remember that? Yeah. He did that. He's an amazing guy, and he and I are actually going to collaborate soon on a project. He wrote a book, and I want to turn it into a show, and we're going to be literally pitching it to Disney this coming week. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Good question. Yeah, thank you. Another question. Anything, come on. Yeah.
Are you working on any projects right now?
Yeah, God willing, hopefully, yeah. So right now, I just finished the Netflix show I told you about. Have you guys ever heard of a book called Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins? Yeah. So me and a couple other guys, we optioned the rights to that book. For the last 3 years, I put a lot of money into it. I got Pixar and DreamWorks character designers, and I want to make that as a Hanukkah movie for the mainstream world. I have major people attached. I have a script. We're going to get Sacha Baron Cohen to do a voice. We're going to get of very high quality out there that has some Jewish content in it. So I'm very excited. I'm literally pitching it in a couple of weeks. Gotta go out. And I have a lot of other things. I have kid shows and all kinds of things. Yeah.
Are you worried about your kids growing up in Hollywood?
Good question. Are you worried about your kids growing up in a Hollywood environment? If you're a parent and you're not worried about your kids from anything, then you're not a parent. Okay? You have to worry. What you also have, as the Mishnah tells us in Pirkei Avos, you need to set up a fence for Torah. You have to set up a fence. Here's why we're not worried. Where's your face? Where'd you go? So listen to this. One time, my daughter Meira, when she was about 8, I took her in for an audition for a TV show. The TV show was called Outnumbered. This is a live-action show, not an animated show. And she got a call back to be in the show. This is a major, major show. And out of hundreds and hundreds of kids, you got a call back down to 5. And then after that audition, we got a call, listen to this, from her agent. They said they want her, she's the choice. They chose her to be in this major show. And we had to sign a contract, a 7-year contract for her, okay? Huge amounts of money, okay? It will go into her account someday, whatever. And we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Then the agent calls, and I said to my wife, you should probably remind her that Meira doesn't work on Shabbos. Just remind her the dates. The woman was like, oh yeah, what dates is it? She's like, every Friday, da da da. And the agent calls the studio and calls us back and says, they're going to pass on your daughter because they shoot Friday night. We're like bummed, but okay, whatever. Then literally the next day we get a call from the agent. They're changing the shooting schedule for your daughter because they want her to be in this so badly. And this was like the kind of role that was just perfect for her. Like it was creative, artistic, hero, whatever. And I said to my wife, you should probably remind them about the Chagim too, you know? A lot of other days there. So when you actually look at the Shabboses and then the Chagim, it's like way bigger, like right, Pesach, right, Sukkot, like it's all the Yom Tovs, it's a lot. So we give the dates in and the woman says, you know what, they're actually going to pass on your daughter. And some people are like, how could you pass? I'm like, what do you mean? The creator of the world, and Fox Studios. Let's see, is it really, you know, it wasn't even a choice for us, but here's the thing that's amazing. They ended up not making the show, but we actually found out that the person making the show is the guy that directed Borat, which some of you are going to laugh at. Good stuff, guys. So, and the guy, a writer, told me, he said the last place you want your kids being raised is on the set of a TV show, because if you sign that 7-year contract with your daughter, goodbye or Eliyahu, the nice yeshiva school that my kids go to right now. You're going to have to get a tutor on there, and all the values that you put into your kids, just flush it right down the toilet. And because of that experience, we made a rule that our kids are only going to do animation, because it's voiceover. They go in an hour or two, and they come out. And I'll tell you, as a director, I direct kids all the time. I direct kids that are like actor kids. Like this is their life. If you talk to my son, Hotel Transylvania will never come out of his mouth. It's like an after-school project for him. He doesn't even think about it. My daughter Meira, she does Jewish theater. She does things in our community. There's women's theater. There's Music Man coming up. Like, we're very, very careful. First of all, we're very, very careful what we allow them to watch. We have a very, very strong fence on that. We're very particular about what we allow them to watch. But I also, personally, I feel that if you take a kid and you want them to grow up from, and you don't let them watch anything, that when they get to be 16 and they get their first iPhone and they're going to have every show in the world imaginable, not be able to handle it, I think it's our job as parents, I'm just saying this, to be able to help them navigate through it. So I think that, you know, media can be a very strong tool if it's used well, and we're very, you know, strict on what we allow them to watch and what we allow them to be part of. They don't get caught up in it though. They really don't. They're not caught up. If I thought they had a timer, like a desire for it, we would limit it. But they're really grounded. Yeah.
What have you directed for MTV?
I directed a show at MTV called Spy Groove. It was 2 secret agents. Agent number 1, agent number 2. This is in the year 2000, by the way. Are you guys even born then? No. Another question. Yeah.
Out of all the TV and movies that you've done, which one was your favorite?
What was my favorite at everything that I've done? Well, there's a lot of them that all have certain meaningful. I mean, Pocahontas was the first movie I ever worked on, and when I saw my name in that movie, it was just tons of sacrifice on my mom's part and all the work I put in. And I really saw like, wow, hard work, you can actually accomplish something. But I have to say, one scene that I worked on, which is really probably the most powerful scene I ever worked on, was in Mulan. It's when Mulan is climbing that pole, do you remember? And the arrow's at the top, and she's sweating, and I got to do some of those drawings at the very top of there, where she has that determination. I remember like feeling determined while I was drawing, you know, putting that into that scene. But I also, Winnie the Pooh, I mean, I love Winnie the Pooh. I love those characters. Doc McStuffins, I did it for my kids. They love that Daddy was directing Doc McStuffins, so yeah.
Has anybody told you to sound like you're Woody from Toy Story?
No, just you. I sound like Woody from Toy Story, okay. Yeah.
What was the most successful movie that
successful movie I directed? Meira, Liel, Asher, and Naomi.